Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hunt Lift Eat podcast, brought to you by Hunt Lift Eat Official on Instagram. Carter here, I guess, co-hosting with your podcast manager, Cole Reed.
It's I wouldn't call myself a co-host. I'm not there yet. I feel like Carrie should be sitting here right now, not me. He's been doing way more than me.
Yeah, we've been trying to fill the bag, man. We got a good crew on here. This is going to be our largest podcast we've ever done. So I'm curious to see how the dynamic of this breaks down, doing this many people virtually. But let's introduce everybody real quick. Hopefully everybody's screen looks the same. Who knows? But let's start with top right, Mr. Dave over here.
Carter, thanks for having us. First time, long time. Am I right, Dave?
First time, long time. Absolutely.
Dave Uhas and going clockwise.
Clockwise, yeah, but I appreciate you having us on today.
Yeah, man. Of course. Clockwise, coming from the great city of Athens.
Yeah, that's right. Not first time, long time. First time virtual though, so should be a good time. We'll see how this dynamic shakes out today. I'm excited to talk pig hunt.
Who are you?
I'm John Wyatt.
John Wyatt, and then our last guest we got
Keenan Temple. And appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. Keenan Temple. We got Dave, we got John, we got Keenan, and Cole's here till I kick him off. But this is the crew that we ran down to Florida to go hunt hogs down at Triple M Outfitters with Matt Cates, who's a good friend of HLE, longtime friend and outfitter that we use down there for hogs and gators. He runs an awesome operation, and I'm not going to do a lot of talking on this episode because I want to hear from these guys, but just to give context to all the listeners on kind of how the dynamic here shakes out. I was trying to think about this before we mashed record, but okay. Just real quick, down and dirty. Cole and I went to college together, and we joined HLE, and now he helps out with the podcast. Dave and I have been good friends for about 10 years now because
it's been that long.
I think so. Yeah, 8 or 9 years. I think this is my 9th year teaching. So yeah. Your wife basically got me my job at the school that I teach at currently. So we run into each other frequently.
By the way, you're welcome, and her biggest mistake.
I thought you were her biggest mistake, Dave.
No.
Well, there's another guy on here who's also job is also responsible because of Carrie, and that would be John. So John and I teach together at the same school.
And Dave's wife, Carrie, was my 10th grade English teacher.
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And so as I started my English teaching career at a college, it was fine. It was whatever. And my youngest brother, Will, graduated from the school at which I now teach and was in Carter's class. So at his graduation, Dave's wife poached me to go work at this school now. And that's how Carter and I met.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Small world. Almost incestuous, man. And then
close.
And then Keenan also teaches with us and is co-athletic director with me. So we coach and we teach and we direct athletics together.
Yeah. And I just happened there. I got to our school because of our secretary, so it had nothing to do with Carrie, but we did go to Carrie, and Dave and I all went to college in the same great state of Indiana. So
that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of how this all happened. And we've got a couple other guys who went on this trip with us, several of y'all's sons, which was way cool. They're not on here today, but that was awesome. We had a really cool dynamic. It all started as kind of a school group, and then we were like, Dave's cool, we should invite Dave. And then Cole crashed the party and was there.
Okay. I just show up out of nowhere. Like, I hear about things and I just show up.
Yeah. I mean, you could at least offer to drive to Florida.
No, he was cozy. The back of the truck. This is a pro tip, like for anybody going on a road trip with multiple people in a truck, especially if they have a swanky F-150. Don't sit in the front. The front is huge overrated. The back, you can stretch out. I had a blanket, a pillow, watching movies back there. It was a good time. Cole can agree because on the way back, he decided to get some of that action in the back. And what was your experience?
It was great. I mean, when you have such a nice truck like Carter, it's like a dang spaceship in that thing. Too many buttons and big screens. But I was able to lay down. I had my feet propped up. I had a pillow. I think I was using your blanket.
Yeah.
And just watching a movie for I don't know how many hours we had left, like 4.5. I could have fell asleep.
Yeah, dude, it's so comfortable.
Where did we stop? Where did we stop on the way back? Was it Valdosta to get gas?
Yeah.
And someone opened the back door of your truck, Carter, and I swear I don't know how you could fit one more thing in the back of that truck. It was so packed.
Cole had like an apartment back there.
I mean, seriously, he had like an inflatable mattress and a hammock hanging back there. I mean, TV plugged in with a Starlink. I mean, it was incredible.
Dude, you should have brought the Xbox. We could have been playing Baldur's Gate the whole time.
Like Baldur's Gate the whole time.
God, we messed up. So
next time, this was this was a turn and burn kind of hunt in like the truest sense of the word, which is not typical. But it's like, hey, we had a weekend or a Monday off for whatever reason, whatever. Martin Luther King, shout out to that guy. Yeah, for we had a 4-day weekend, so we were like, let's go down there.
So let's take a 4-day week, but only go for one day.
Yeah. Well, it turned out to be, not to jump the gun, but turned out to be a great decision because it gave us an entire day to work up all the pigs that we killed, and we needed every possible second to do that. But let's get into it a little bit, and I'll shut up here. But Keenan and Dave, this was y'all's first true big game hunt, right? And John, your first time hunting pigs. But what were some of y'all's expectations looking into this? As I reflect, I didn't really give you a lot of information. So thank you guys for trusting me that we were just going somewhere where this was going to happen. But what were some of y'all's expectations?
Surprise, Carter didn't give you information.
I mean, he showed us some pictures and some videos from his trip. So you had a little bit of a clue, but for me, it's the first time I've shot, a moving target. My dad was a gunsmith and I grew up around guns, but that first time you're aiming at a hog and he's running and the guy's yelling at you to shoot it. And, it's a whole, there's nothing that could prepare you for it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say in terms of expectations, I had same thing, seen some of the videos you've been sending, obviously expect to have a good time, but I had never been to like a true, I guess it's not a deer camp if you're hunting hogs, but we stayed at Matt's deer camp. Right. And I'd never stayed in a big pre-hunt around the campfire group dynamic. So I was looking forward to that personally. And it was, didn't disappoint. It was a great time. And just expected to go down and hang with the boys and shoot some pigs. And I think we delivered on all fronts there.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, and I'm sure David said the same thing, is just the way that, Cole and Carter and even John, they made sure the boys had a good time and the boys got the first, they got to shoot their hogs first. And that to me was the biggest thing, because I could have cared less if I shot a hog. It was the biggest thing was taking my son Brody and getting a hog. And then, the other thing for me is that the other two boys that went are both my students and basketball players. So it was kind of cool to hang out with them. But, you three guys did a great job making sure those kids had an unbelievable hunt. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on that too, Keenan, was like when we got up on the swamp buggy, whatever you want to call it, that we were rolling in. I mean, I had fully intentions of seeing Carter, Cole, and John just kind of get up front and get to work. And then it was like we kind of get up there, and all of a sudden they're like, "No, boys, you get up there, you go first." I'm like, "All right, this is cool. This is cool. It's not about these guys out here. It's giving these boys an experience."
Yeah, and Carter waited till everybody got a hog before he shot, so I thought that was really cool. So
yeah, because it only took him one shot to get it.
Well, it's a little different than the rest of it.
I'm sure Carter, you and Cole share a similar philosophy to me, but like whenever I go on trips like this, like a hunting trip, a fishing trip, something like that, it's like if somebody is successful and if somebody's having a good time, then I feel like I'm successful. If somebody shoots something, if somebody catches something, it feels like the group was successful in the trip. And so like it doesn't matter to me, man. Like I'd much rather have those kids go out there and have a great time. And then and obviously there was a ton of time for us to go and pile up 17 pigs or whatever it was. But, I'd much prefer those guys get their feet wet and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good hunt for like it's not your typical hunt because like it's 100% success as long as you can shoot well. Like we knew we were going to get into hogs, and I get like a little anxious when I take other people hunting. I like love taking other people hunting, especially new hunters. It's my favorite thing in the world. And but I get a little anxious because I want them to be successful so badly. And I was a little nervous. I was like, what if we don't see any pigs? What if, I don't know, the barometric pressure is bad, or if there's a cold front coming in, or like whatever. And then, Brody dumped a freaking monster within 7 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Within 7 minutes, he shoots Hogzilla going through the gates. And I was like, like, we're good. It's going to be all right.
Pressure's off now.
Yeah.
Dave, your son put one on the ground within 2 minutes?
Yeah.
3 minutes?
Who got it first? Was it
Grady got the first one, then
Oh,
Brody.
Grady did?
and Brody?
Yeah. Grady dropped the little one. The smallest one was Grady.
That's right.
The biggest one was the second one.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too, is because that first one, when Grady hit it, we're like, that's a monster. And by the end of the day, that thing was tiny.
Yeah.
So, but just go to show you, once you get one, there's success and you're happy with it.
And like you guys, we were talking about, the cool thing is like my first two shots, the first two pigs I shot weren't my pigs, because I had to help Drew and then I helped Dave, because you don't want to lose a pig. And then unfortunately we lost one, but you don't want to lose a pig. And so Carter kind of told me that, but you don't know until you get on that buggy, and it's like, shoot. And Dave and I, we had one, and then John and I both had two that were far and hiding in the grass. And it's like, you're doing everything you can because you don't want to lose the hog.
So. Yeah, and it's a tough shot too. And like Keenan and I coach basketball together for the school, and so it's like I love team sports, and Carter being the athletic director, big team sports guy, and it's just like it was kind of the team sports of hunting, right? What's the objective? We're going to shoot a pig. Somebody's kind of on point, and then he's got his wingmen on the side that are assisting him, and if he hits a pig, then everybody's all hands on deck trying to bring that thing down, because like you're saying, you don't want to waste it. And I thought that was a really cool collaborative aspect that normally you don't really get, because even if you go hunting with somebody, you're just sitting in the stand and maybe you're helping spot, but that's kind of where it ends. Whereas this, it was truly collaborative, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah. I will say, you're on the hook financially if you wound one, right? So like it is a team sport. So like there's no like, oh, it's mine or it's yours or whatever. It's if someone puts a bullet in it, we need to put it on the ground ASAP.
Yeah, and unfortunately we lost one, but that's not bad out of 15 hogs. We only lost one. So
No, Matt has some horror stories of clients like just wounding dozens of pigs left and right.
Well, I'm glad we found the ones that fell off the back though, because that would have been a big loss.
That was my fault, and I want to get to that.
I think that was if you want to get to it later, that's fine. But Carter, going back to kind of like the expectations, you're saying you barely said anything to us, sent us a couple of videos. I thought finding the hogs are going to be harder. At first it was a little slow, I think, but once we started getting into them, they were everywhere. So to me, that was a better experience than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot more just kind of sitting around waiting kind of thing. Yeah, right. But the other thing that was surprising was finding them after you shot. Yeah. I guess, whether you're bird hunting or deer hunting, it seems to be, just go track them below and there they are. But these things just disappeared, a few of them. They did. And that was surprising to me. I mean, I don't know if Keenan or John, you have kind of the same thoughts about that, but I was shocked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were a couple of colors primarily. The black ones, depending on where they landed, if they ran back into one of the big brush piles, they were tough to see. If they were out in the grass, they were a little easier. But I know I shot a brown one. Carter, you shot a brown one. Those ones that are that perfect, like mottled brown color, if they went down in the grass, you basically had to run over it before you found it. Yeah. And luckily we were in a vehicle, so that was possible. But yeah, you're right. I mean, so hard to find, especially because they run. They don't just drop.
True. That's the part of it.
One we lost was a brown one, and we couldn't find it. Yeah, we looked for probably an hour looking for that thing,
and we could have been real close to it, and you just even up in that swamp buggy, 12 feet up in the air or whatever, it's still hard to see them.
Yeah,
like every time we go deer hunting together, Carter, that's what I say every time we find one. They're the perfect shade of brown, and it's just amazing. Like one of nature's amazing deals is they are that color for a reason. Like you can't see them on purpose.
Yeah. I want to hear y'all's first thoughts about the swamp buggy when we got there in the morning. But John, you mentioned like the campfire the night before. I had never been out to Matt's deer camp before, so that was new for me. I didn't know what to expect either. I kind of understood based on the conversations we had. It was like, it was either a trailer or a mobile home or like I didn't quite know what we were staying in. But there was running water and bathrooms, right? So like, I was like, all right, camping, right? And we get there after driving for a gazillion hours all day. Ended up being like a 9-hour drive or whatever because of some traffic. And Matt and his wife Nicole had the fire going and had some chili going for us. And as soon as we got there, it was just like I just felt relaxed instantly. We got to hang out by the fire, and that's one of my favorite parts about hunting camps. And like the hunt itself is like it's almost like Christmas Eve, like the night before, the expectation and everybody just catching up and falling back in a rhythm. Like everybody's great buddies, and Cole had never met you guys before, and the boys were there, and like it was just such a good time to sit back and have a couple beers and talk about what's going on tomorrow and just chill.
And it's great. And I kind of a interesting perspective that I have as somebody who's like extremely introverted normally, where people meet me and then they think that I'm an asshole because I don't talk to them. That's
the only reason they think you're an asshole.
Well, you are one of the many reasons, right? It's kind of like the perfect way to meet new people. Obviously, I never met Matt and his wife, and you're sitting next to somebody, you automatically have 3 shared interests. You've got a beer, there's a fire. It's like the perfect avenue into it. And we ended up sitting there talking. I talked to his wife for the longest time ever because they just got back from a couple of hunts out in Oregon, kind of where my family's from. And so we're like, oh, did you go here? Did you see that? Next time you're back, you got to go see this. And, she turns out she and Matt are big hiker, nature explorers too, which my wife and I love to do. And so we were sharing cool spots to go to. It's the perfect way to meet new people. And it's like you said, the perfect way to catch up with other people. So I loved it. It was a blast.
Yeah,
that's always
the funny thing was I wish we saw it during the day. The prop because we kind of we pulled in at dark and we left, and it was foggy when we left. And I would have loved to seen all the thousands of acres around that place just to just to see what he's got and what the chances are going back, kind of thing. Because he does. Did I understand it right? He deer hunts the property there where we stayed.
Yep. He has a lease there for I forget how many guys he said, 11 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, like 11 or 15, anywhere in that range, I think.
Yeah, because I think there was one where we kind of stayed in the trailer, and then there was a camper, like a fifth wheel behind us. That guy was there, and then going back out the drive, there was probably 3 or 4 other pull behind campers, single wides, and so there's a lot of places to just put your head down at night back there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, you're right. I would have liked to see it during the day. I think he said it was 8,000 acres or something.
Yeah, I think so. When we drove down, obviously, we went ahead of you guys because we took my older son Drew to University of Florida to do a tour. So we wrapped that up, 11 o'clock in the morning, noon, and started heading down towards his camp. And we just were driving through the back country of, I guess what is that? Where we were was east of Orlando. So, we kind of cut from Gainesville to Daytona and then came down, and it's just, thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of just cattle fields out there, and it's beautiful. And I feel like as we were driving down, we were on the north side of where he was on the south side of that property, and just absolutely gorgeous down there.
Yeah, it's way cool.
Yeah,
that cattle operation has like 300,000 acres or something like that. Dave, is that what it was?
Something like that. I can't remember. I wish I should read on the research on that. How many thousands of acres? I think it was about 300,000 acres.
That's crazy. There's not shit out there except for hogs and deer and cattle.
Absolutely.
All right, so we had a good dinner, had a good some hangout time the night before. We loaded up the next morning, scooted over to the base of operations.
Wait, are you gonna skip right over how
none of us could sleep because of you, Carter?
Well, someone decided to run a chainsaw all night.
All night long.
There, I'm just like, dadgum, like, were we still cleaning up after Helene down here? Like, what's going on?
the only couple of reprieves from Carter snoring is because the way that we were all sleeping, there was a bunk room where Dave and his two boys and Cole slept, and then there was another room where Keenan and his son slept, another room where Matt and his wife slept, and so that left Carter and I out in the living room area. They have this big sectional, so it looks to me long enough for both of us to lay down, on like this on the sides. Carter decides he's gonna lay in the recliner, like lazy boy style thing on the end as much as they can recline. Well, twice in the middle of the night, it snaps back closed to a chair on him. That's the only 2 times he stopped snoring. His chair broke.
I had no idea that.
Oh man, I had a heart attack both times. I thought, I was like, we're under attack. Freaking slammed shut on me. Look, allegedly I snore. I've never heard it. I think you guys are all full of shit, so I don't know.
Well, I didn't hear it that night. I slept great. So
Well,
I think they're making it up.
the 10,000 head of cattle outside sure heard it.
Yeah, it's the sleep apnea. It's the gluten.
The gluten.
Yeah, then we scoot over to the base of operations in the morning and we start getting our gear together, which I brought way too much of, as I always do. You really don't need a lot for this hunt, right? You just need
bullets.
Yeah, if you're going to bring extra of anything, just an extra box of bullets.
And headphones. The headphones were, or earplugs, I guess, big ear. I brought my like range ear protection as opposed to what I normally have deer hunting. And that was a big key, I think, for me.
That was smart. There was a lot of shooting.
Especially in that side-by-side. That got really loud.
Really?
No, yeah. And then I forgot to put my plugs back in when I shot the 357. And
yeah, I was going to say.
It took a good 10 minutes before I could hear again.
Yeah. Whoever was brandishing that 357.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so we roll up there and we're getting everything set up. And then, Keenan, what did you think when you saw like the swamp buggies for the first time?
Well, we'd seen the pictures, but I'm just looking, I'm like, okay, I'm just, because the way I am, the way my brain works, I'm like, how are we all going to fit on this thing? And where are you going to sit? And I'm like, okay. So then, once we get on it and we get organized, it makes sense. But it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then, it makes sense because, you're shooting, you're up, so you're elevated, so you're going to be able to shoot down on these hogs. So that kind of helped with me because, like I said, I'd never gone before and I'm just trying to figure it all out. And I'm like, okay. I thought it was pretty cool looking at the thing and then just listening to him talk about how he got, he told us the story about how he got it and all that. And that was pretty neat. So,
yeah. And for the people listening at home,
yeah, how would you describe it?
It's a monster truck, a purple monster truck from like the chassis down.
Yeah.
When I saw the pictures you sent, I would tell people a pontoon boat welded on top. It's like a roller coaster car on top. It's stadium seating.
Yeah.
Three rows of 3 on top of this giant purple monster truck.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a great way to explain it. With a flatbed on the back.
Yes. Yeah.
Dave lost power. He'll be back on in a minute. So.
See you, Dave.
The tech, so FYI.
Yeah, that thing's freaking sweet. And if you go hunt with Matt, like request, everybody wants the swamp buggies. The swamp buggies are sweet. His side-by-sides are new. Those were new to him. So you guys got to go out in those, which are also sick. He had those custom made, but the swamp buggies where it's at. That thing's way cool.
Well, on side-by-side, for what I wanted to do with the 357 was that was the only way I could have done. Now, the thing that sucked about it is forgetting that I'm left-handed and trying to, shoot.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So because when I watched the video, I'm like, I'm not that bad of a shot, but then, you figure you're bouncing up and down and then I've got to pull my left hand through to shoot it. And so just to tell you guys the story, I had my father recently passed and when my dad was a gunsmith and always wanted to come down to Georgia and shoot a hog with this 357. So when Carter asked if I wanted to do this, I was like, I did. And then I told him the story. He's like, you got to bring the gun. So when they got the side-by-side, John and I talked a lot about it. He's like, you got to go on side-by-side. Let's do this. So got the opportunity to go. And I mean, those side-by-sides fly. And we're literally right with the hog.
Yeah.
And it's full sprint, like 20, 30 or somewhere in there. Yeah.
And was fortunate enough to be able to drop one, the through and through shot. And it was kind of emotional, but it was really kind of cool. And that to me, that's one of the highlights of the trip. But
Yeah, that was pretty cool to have the sentimental value, have a piece of your dad with you for that part of the hunt and get to use it. And also just like, there's something badass about slinging a 357 out the side of a side by side and dropping a hog, man. That's just,
especially one with
and your son
one that has a 1 pound pull. So that was a little, I had to be very cautious. I didn't shoot myself.
Yeah. That was way cool. We did a quick little, well, I did it mostly with the boys, but quick little safety brief because there's a lot of weapons on that swamp buggy. It would be easy for someone to not pay attention and have a mistake up there. So, always right.
Matt did a
We
really
all
good
piled
job.
onto the swamp buggy at the beginning.
Yeah, Matt did a great job, especially with the kids and the swamp buggy. He's like, all right, here, guy, you're shooting left, you're shooting right. Nobody crosses unless, you're going to shoot forward. He was really good. You can tell he's done it a few times.
Yeah.
Well, things could have gone poorly because Keenan's son Brody and I were in the back of the side by side, and it's kind of another elevated platform. So we're sitting up above the roof, and we're driving around, and we're looking for hogs and things like that. And then I look down, and they have this big steel plate on top of the side by side, and right above where the driver's sitting is a bullet hole where somebody has decided that they're going to swing around and shoot, and shot through the roof of the side by side. So it could go wrong if people aren't careful. And we had no accidents, no mistakes. It was awesome. It was a great safety briefing, Carter. You killed it.
Yeah,
That was most important to me. No, I was like, I don't care if we shoot any hogs or not. We can't have
Gary would have killed you if you shot one of the boys. So
it wouldn't have been me.
Yeah. Think about the other way around.
Yeah.
Boy shot one of us.
Well, look, it's a tough hunt for a bunch of different reasons. And it was their first hunt, the boys' first hunt, all of them. And maybe Dave and Keenan, you guys have been good about taking them to the range in preparation for this hunt, and they weren't inexperienced. But when there's other guys around, there's like added pressure, and then the owner of the operation is on the vehicle with you. These things are like sprinting and running. They're hard. The ground is incredibly bouncy, and it's a tough shot anyways. So it's easy to make poor hits. It's not simple, right?
No, it's like controlled chaos out there. I mean, how many we had? All of us, so that's 5, 8 of us. So there's 9 on the swamp buggy at one time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crowded up there. It's chaotic. There's hogs running everywhere, and all of a sudden you try to calm down.
Yeah.
Take the shot. And I mean, Grady, truthfully, I wasn't really worried about Grady. Obviously, he's been, doing sporting clays with you, Carter, and all that kind of stuff. He's obviously been setting a couple deer stands with you, but John and you, Carter. But I just didn't know what to expect with Drew. And so I think that's why he's like, everyone else, you go first. Let me take all this in and, kind of see it for a couple times before he stood up there and then throws that coonskin cap on and jumped right in.
I mean, he got the third hog, so
he did. Yeah.
Would you say it's kind of like indicative of, because I've only taught Grady, right, but been around Drew a little bit with basketball, and it seems just from my outward perspective, like Grady's somebody who's, I'm hands-on, I'm going to jump in and do it, whereas Drew's like, I'm going to watch, learn, calculate, and then go and do it.
Yeah, I think for the most part, yes. There are some things that Drew is very confident about, and he'll jump, right in on it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, he definitely wants to just watch, observe, and then when he goes at it, he knows he's going to be perfect at it because that's kind of his mentality.
Yeah, it was really fun. I want you guys to talk a little bit about doing this with your sons. Like, I'm super blessed to have 2 young kids now, and like, it just adds a whole nother layer to life. Doing we were just walking around in the woods looking for deer antlers or before this, and like, I was like, life doesn't get any better than this. But like, when I can take them on the swamp buggy, life might be a little bit better. Like, that's sick. But like, you're all 3 of the boys, huge credit to you guys and your wives, probably mostly to your wives, but they're really stand-up kids, and that was a blast. I certainly had some hesitation, is not the right word, but I was I wanted everything to go well, and I wanted them to have to get everything they wanted out of the experience while also like being safe and having a good time. But
yeah.
And all three of these guys are future military guys. So that's, to me, that's the cool thing is my son's going to head in the Marine Corps, and Dave's got one probably going to the Navy and one going to the Army. It looks like if everything works out. So it's kind of cool. And to me, like the story was, I bought the gun for my son for Christmas. I bought him a 308, and John and I were talking about it, and John's like, well, this is what he's going to shoot. So it was kind of all, it kind of all worked out, and it was part of his Christmas, and it was a great time. And I just couldn't imagine that he had so much fun. And he's like, I want to go back before I graduate. And I'm like, that will not be a problem. And all these guys have already said, let's go back. So it was awesome getting to do that with my son, and for his first hunt to be with me, and my first hunt to be with him.
Yeah.
I went deer hunting once, but didn't shoot anything. So I didn't see anything, but this was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, no, Keenan, I agree with you on that. Just truthfully, if we got one hog, or we didn't got 0 hogs, or no matter what we did, it was a success with the boys. And truthfully, just the 6-hour drive down and the spending time, and because we toured Gainesville and stuff, it's just me and the 2 boys together. I think that was the first time the 3 of us have done something without.
Did he lose power again?
See you, Dave.
Scary.
Let's finish that story for Dave here.
But I guess that's his first trip without Carrie.
We'll never know how he felt about that. Maybe he regrets it. Maybe.
Well, I'm just going to speculate he had a great time without his wife, but deep down he's like, I wish my wife was here because I love her so much.
That's probably it.
That's got to be it. So good job, Dave. That's a great story.
To be fair, his wife would be a great time on that trip.
Oh yeah, she would be the one that would shoot someone else.
Yes. The hole in the side.
Or pass out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was great for me because I spent a lot of time with my older son because of just sports, and didn't spend that much time in a road trip with my younger son. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And like, I said, he wants to go again. He's, we've already, we're working on with Carter and John scoping out some places to get him deer hunt. And so, I mean, he's gung ho, he's ready to do this. So, I think it was the first step in his process of becoming a lifelong hunter. So.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, man. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. No. Well, at least he has the gun.
Yeah. Well, we're thrilled to help him, man. I had a lot of good mentors and people who've helped me out over the years, and anything I can do to get another young person in the outdoors is time well spent.
It's kind of a unique collection of people here. Like, just thinking about it, I'm pretty sure we're all like first generation hunters, right?
It skipped a generation in my family for sure.
My dad actually used to hunt, but mainly, but yeah. But I never went with him because he stopped rabbit hunting when I was like 5. And up in Indiana, rabbit hunting, I mean, literally you go out and get 15, 20 of them at a pop. So
yeah. I mean, my dad did duck hunting, but he never, took me out or anything like that. I know he's been itching to get back into it, but yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of a cool, like when I was up there with Brody, just like sharing some of the stuff that I had learned from Carter, and from Cole, like through our deer hunting the past couple of years, especially. Like I told you afterward, we wounded the one. He made a shot on it, looked like a good shot, basically blew its back apart. I was like, that thing's going down in a couple yards. And just didn't. Thing just ran off into oblivion. And I had lost a couple deer, lost one this archery season, lost one the previous one. And so I was like, kind of could empathize with him a little bit and talk to him about what he was going through. And so I think, like, for your son, if he wants to continue doing this, or for Dave's sons, if they do, or even you and Dave, like, it's kind of a cool collection of potential mentors to have, where it's like, we recently acquired all of these experiences through learning ourselves too. So it's like just another layer of knowledge that you can get.
Right. And I know Dave and I both shoot a lot. So it's like, I've grown up around guns. My dad was a gunsmith. So for me, I've shot tons and tons, but to actually shoot, to actually drop a hog, a couple hogs, and it was cool. Like I'm looking forward to getting a deer this year, and hopefully we can get a turkey too, right, Carter?
Oh yeah, we'll do our best. Yeah, we're not old and jaded yet, John, are we?
Yeah. We're still excited and stupid. It's great. It's the perfect combo.
It is a good combo.
Right, Dave's back.
we finished your sentence for you, Dave, when you were saying it was your first trip without Carrie.
Yeah, and she just reminded me I need to do another one apparently because she keeps tripping the breakers in the house. So I apologize, Joe.
That's funny.
Well, one thing I wanted to go back and kind of talk on, John, you started this conversation about first generation hunters, and you know, with Carter, your family skipping a generation, you and I first time. Dave, I assume are you first generation?
Kind of, I guess so. It's kind of funny with me. My dad was not a big hunter, from the time he kind of went to college and grew up. He never got outdoors much at all. When he was a kid, he was him and his two brothers trapped, fished, did all that kind of stuff. My uncles are big hunters. You know, they still, into their 70s do big game hunts and stuff like that. But my immediate family, no. So I'm kind of reintroducing it to my side of the family, which is great. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and we don't have to say our ages, but your boys are clearly much younger than us, so it's just cool that I'm going to live vicariously through them because they get to start at this teenage age where, like, I didn't start until I was, I can't remember, Carter, like 23, 24. It was definitely post-college that I started my hunting stuff. And John, I think it's the same with you as well.
Even older. I think I started when I was 28, 27, 28, something like that. Yeah.
So it's just cool to see the difference, with someone starting at a younger age, and now they're going to take this, through high school, and I hope they continue it through college, and see what kind of influence they have on others. Because I'll tell you, like, when I was at North Georgia with Carter, I was probably one of the few people who didn't hunt, and it was like such a weird thing. But once I got exposed to it, like, I was just interested. It was just cool to watch people and learn about this. So I hope they have that same sphere of influence on somebody else and keep expanding, their wealth of knowledge and pass it along to others.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like we talk about our boys. Obviously, the other three.
I think what he was going to say is, oh no, he's back. There he is,
guys. No, hey, all right. That was a tease. But cool, obviously my boys are in high school right now. I was actually just doing the math as the computer was buffering here. I bought my first gun 8 years ago. So that's kind of, that's my hunting career started 8 years ago. It was like when I joined one of my construction companies I worked for, we do quail hunts every year. So I went out and my first gun was an over-under shotgun to go quail hunting. And that kind of got me into it. And, it's evolved from there. But to your point, it's cool to see the teenage boys that I've got get into this now. And especially Grady, Grady's got a passion for it. Yeah. I think Drew's just, Drew's a little further along in his life and get ready to go to college. So I think if we started him a couple of years ago, I think it'd be a different story. But Grady's now sending me pieces of property every other day. Hey, Dad, what about this? Let's go shopping.
I'm going to start texting Grady on the side saying, hey, you should send this property to your dad. See if we can get it. Like, start thinking, I'll be in cahoots with him.
You do that. And then I'm going to go to Carter and say, hey, Carter, here's the property. Gonna make it happen.
Keenan and I will put it on the athletics credit card.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Sure, Hunter would love that.
It's a tax
coaching retreat. It's not a hunting property. It's a coaching retreat.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah, coaching retreat, man.
Professional development. We're gonna write it off for something.
That's right.
Yeah, Robbie. Professional development. Write it off. Yeah, it helps, especially like if your first hunt is like it gets real Western because there's like a lot of adrenaline and it's an exciting hunt and like you get it's easy to get hooked. You're like, oh yeah, this is sick. It's when they have some slower ones when they're sitting and freezing their ass off and not seeing anything where you got to grind a little bit.
Well, you get a little spoiled because, like I said, my first hunt, I was, 5 a.m. in a tree in Indiana and it was, 20 degrees. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I don't, but this was like guaranteed we're getting hogs. I mean, that's the thing is anybody who goes with Matt, you're going to get a hog. So you don't have to worry about that. My biggest fear was that I was going to be the guy that missed and didn't get one. I'd be the last guy and I couldn't shoot it. Luckily that didn't happen, but
It's tough to have a bad time when you're either in the swamp buggy or
Yeah.
in the side by side, which was described to us as fast and furious.
and it is.
And I was like, muy bien, that's kind of my jam right there. Let's do it. It's
And our driver was crazy, and
It's about family. Put me in.
about family.
Yeah, Vin Diesel was driving.
he got after it. He was not afraid to get out and shoot him with the sidearm.
Yeah.
That could be Grady in a couple years. His first like side hustle.
Yeah.
Working down there for Matt. I don't remember all the specifics of every hog that was killed. Walk us through either your first or your favorite or the one where you shot
Your first or your favorite.
oh reverb somewhere or where your shots were the best or whatever. I just want to relive some of those shots we made. John, you shot a freaking gigantic one.
Yeah, I can show and tell. I have the skull behind me.
Yeah. Let's see it.
Yeah. So this was the first one I shot. I shot 2 sows, which was great for me. There's that big one, right? Because like when I hunt, I think before maybe you asked me this question, Cole. You were surprised, but it was the question. The day where we were all together at Carter's old place, and it was something along the lines of like, what do you see? It was before I'd shot my first deer. Like, what do you see when you envision your first deer? And for me, I think my answer was food, like immediately. And it was the same thing for this. So like my goal going down was to shoot a big fat sow. And I shot 2 nice size ones. This first one I shot, I was aiming at another one. Keenan and I were trying to put down one that had been getting away from us, and eventually put that one down. And as we're swinging the swamp buggy around to go look at it, somebody yells out, "There's one to the left." And I turn, and it's this colossal brown pig. And I just kind of follow it down, and I get, in the zone. And I feel like if I can, kind of my archer instincts took over, honestly, where you're sort of aiming, but you're also sort of willing the arrow where you want it to go. And so as I'm going, I'm willing the bullet. I want to put it right behind the shoulder. I want to punch it through the lungs. And I squeeze the trigger nice and slow, and the thing does a fucking cartwheel. Put it down with a shot, which was awesome. I was really happy with my shooting, and we go up to it, and this thing is moto, big, heavy.
I mean, over 200 pounds. It was huge.
Yeah. And, a little fast forward to the butchering process. As we're going through, I shot a second sow. It was nice size, big fatty, and taking the tenderloins off of it, and they're regular pork tenderloins you go buy at Kroger kind of size. The first one that I shot looked like beef tenderloins. I mean, everything on it was huge. I mean, just slabs of fat. I was like slipping all over it, trying to skin it. It was awesome, and it's been delicious. So I was going in expecting to get some good meat, and that ended up being what happened. So yeah, I was really pleased with my shooting on the trip, and that's the pig I shot. It just kind of instincts took over,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Keenan? We briefly talked.
Yeah, I talked about the 357, but my first one, John and I are shoot where it's a straight shot, but the pigs are running away from us. So you're not shooting the side view, you're shooting at a rear end. And shot underneath and clipped it, and its intestines are in there hanging out. And then John and I are trying to kill it, and it's going in and out of the grass. I mean, we're missing because it's just rough. We're trying to get it, make sure we didn't lose it.
And we're not stationary either.
No, we're moving too, yeah. And finally, and that's the thing is like, because you only have 3 shots, and then I didn't have the vest, which is something I will do that you guys had on because it'd be a lot easier to keep my bullets there. But my son had given me more bullets reloaded, and then I was able to finally drop it. The adrenaline is awesome. But yeah, one thing, if I would try to do a better job of, I didn't lose any meat. Like, Grady lost a little bit of meat on one of his, but I would probably a little more time and try to get a better shot if I could. That's the thing. But the first time you're just like, I just want to shoot one. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, we lost some meat with splatter and stuff. And then like, I think Grady blew off the whole hind end quarters of his. So, that's one thing, if I had anything to learn from it, would be probably take a little more time on my shot to get a cleaner shot.
Yeah.
Well, that's also one thing that, we don't practice.
Yeah, definitely.
Is a moving shot with a rifle. I mean, it's one thing if you've got a shotgun and you're shooting birds, but you're shooting deer or any other large game, you're
yeah.
really trying to get to be stationary before you
Yep.
pull that trigger. And like you guys were in the side by side going 35 miles an hour. I mean, I don't think any of us have that experience or that practice in us.
Well, and how can you even like? I'm thinking in my mind. Here's another good hunting sketch for us. You're at the shooting range. I'm practicing for my upcoming pig hunt, and you're going like this.
Yeah,
trying to shoot something, and then they kick you out.
shaking your chair.
Well, it's like, I'm like, because where we watched the video of the 357, I'm like, my Lord, I'm gonna hear crap. If my dad was alive, he would have been blowing me crap. It took me 4 bullets. But my brother's like, my little brother's a retired police officer. He's like, Keenan, he goes, I watched you bounce up and down.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm impressed you shot it with the 4th bullet. And I'm like, well, I mean, and it's literally, you can imagine what it was like as a cowboy shooting on the back of a horse. I mean, it's just, wow.
Made me have a new appreciation for Mongol archers. That's for sure.
That's right. Yeah, because we talked about bringing our bows down, which I know I will next time we go, because that would be cool. But that'll add a whole nother level to it.
Yeah.
That another thing to think about with a bow, not to get too off topic, when we were butchering, some of the hide is this thick, like an inch thick of solid knife doling, just thick hide. Like you'd have to get something pretty sturdy to punch through that.
Yeah,
it'd be an interesting that experiment.
Whose head was that had that real thick layer on it?
Those Coles.
Was that Coles? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was easily 3/4 of an inch thick. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Dave, what about your first hog?
My first hog?
Yeah, everybody else has told their story.
I actually think so. Keenan, you said that you're talking about the one that Grady took off the hind quarter.
Yeah.
Actually, that was mine.
Was that yours? Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I hit my first one was kind of running away, just kind of at a 45-degree angle. It got a little further than I wanted on my shot, and I actually hit it in the spine.
Right.
The back spine, got the spine on it, and then I think the second shot is where we got the quarter, the back quarter.
Yeah, because I may have actually done that because I shot it.
Yeah.
So it could have been me that hit the back corner.
I remember, as soon as that thing started running, it went so fast. I mean, I know I was looking through that scope, and I know I had the crosshairs on it, but I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure there's a little blackout in there. But it went down, so that was a good thing. After that, it got easier.
Yeah.
So I think it was just the anticipation of getting that first trigger pulled on, and then move on.
And Cole, you stacked them up. You were like, I'm going to shoot one.
All right.
And then you kept shooting.
It's kind of like, we talk a lot about chicken math, it's kind of like chicken math. If you say you're only going to get 5 chickens, you're actually going to get a dozen. So I said I was only going to get 1 pig. That really meant 3. But I mean, it's just so much fun. Like you're like, okay, you do it once and you're just like, all right, I got one. And then you just have that itch to keep going and keep going. And money isn't real. It's all fake. Gold standard doesn't exist. So why not? Like, let's keep going. And, one turned to 2 pretty fast, and we were struggling to find a third. I was like, it would be nice to have one more. I was thinking about my freezer space. I've been really good and being diligent about like, hey, we're eating more game meat, so I do have freezer space. I was like, okay, just one more. And that last one was actually probably my favorite one. And I think it's because I doubted myself the entire time. Once we were put onto that pig, well, first we had been looking for 15 minutes, and we didn't see anything. Like everybody else was
way back in to start butchering.
Yeah, I told Matt, I was like, hey, we're near the entrance. We have a ton of work to do. Like, let's just go back. And as we're heading towards that gate, we hear John and people on the side-by-side like start whistling and yelling. And we turn and we see a black pig just start going by. And Matt was like, you want it? I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, let's go. We're on it now. Might as well. We're chasing, in that buggy, which gets up to 15, 20 miles an hour. But you feel like you're going pretty dang fast across those fields. And I get set up for that shot, and feel good about it. Don't know what the range is. We're not pulling range finders out and like, okay, take your time. Like, no, it's fast. Got the crosshairs on it, pulled the trigger, and no reaction from that pig or the other group of pigs. Like the one that I shot at, it didn't look like it was hurt. It didn't deviate. It didn't slow down. It just kept going. And then they got into some of those thickets, which is just like, all right, now we got to go investigate and see if it did go down and we just didn't see it, or if it's still with that group of pigs. So we start going towards that thicket. We're looking around and we see a mess of like 6 or 7 pigs sitting in these trees. What kind of trees are those down there that they like?
I don't know, they're palm fronds.
Yeah, so they're all just kind of hanging out. We're pulling our binos out. I mean, we're literally right on top of them and trying to see if there's one that's bleeding out, just looks hurt, is laying down while the others are standing and nothing. And I was like, cool. Like, I thought I had a great shot. I consider myself a decent shot. I've spent a lot of time with my 308, coming up on this one rifle, maybe like 6 or 7 years now. And I'm pretty comfortable with it. And the whole time I was like, I can't believe I missed. Like I thought I had that. So we're circling around talking about how we're going to push them out, see if we can identify one that's hurt. And then as we're having that conversation, I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but he just starts walking around the perimeter and let alone there's a dead pig who almost made it into that thicket. And that made me feel really good because right where I was aiming, it was probably one of the best shots I've ever taken. It was double lung through and through. Can't tell if it went through the heart. I didn't investigate that hard, but you could tell it was quick. He made it, 40, 50 yards and then just flopped. And it was at that moment I was like, why do I ever doubt myself? Like I should be more confident when I'm doing this. Like, but that creeps in real fast when you don't see it hurt, you don't see it stumble, take any kind of weird movement. You're just like, okay, I either missed or I hit him and it's not enough that, killed him or slowed him down. So you just start getting a bad feeling. But that was my favorite one. Man, I loved it. And he's got some nice, I don't know what that black is on the cutters.
Yeah.
You know how the teeth are black. So he's one of the ones that had some of that black on there. And I've got the skulls downstairs in the basement. I should have brought them up for this, but that was such a cool pig, man. It's just so much fun going out there.
Yeah, my favorite part about Cole shooting 3 pigs is when we go back and we're processing them, we're making sausage and all this stuff. I don't know if you called her or your fiance called you, but at some point in the conversation, you're like, "Yeah, get ready to eat some pork," and she goes, "Oh, I don't like wild boar."
Yeah, I was like, oh,
400 pounds of pigs sitting in the cooler.
You made all sausage, so
yeah, I was like, oh, this is a great conversation. She's like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't want any. And I was like, okay. So now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I've got a year's worth of freaking pork and I'm going to be eating this thing by myself. And not to get too far ahead, but once I made her some of the chorizo, I just put a little bit off to the side and I put it in a bowl. She was in a meeting and I just like gave her the bowl and a spoon and stuck it in front of her. Just, like, hey, try it if you want. If not, cool. She comes back like 2 minutes later. She's like, what was that? It was really good. And I was like, oh, now you're saying it's good.
Yeah.
So now Erin is she's full in on these hogs right now. So that makes me really happy because now we don't have to like when we're cooking, it's like I don't have to cook something separate for her.
Yeah.
She'll eat it with me. So I'm really happy that turned out that way. I think she's still the reason I think she said she doesn't like it is because one time Carter and Robin were actually over at our house with Aaron and I cooked up some of the pork ribs that we had from our previous trip. I mean,
dude, we kept both sides of ribs on every single pig we killed, which was the dumbest thing ever. Like, sure,
it was.
Be a good steward and conservationist, eat all the animal that you can, but like, golly, you guys know how long it took to butcher all those animals, and we didn't take any ribs. Like,
yeah,
silly.
And then vacuum sealing them, like the bone just pierces the bag every single time, and it was just not great. So. But we're cooking up these ribs at my house, and once you're eating them, you look like Fred Flintstone because it's the full size of rib, and there's barely any meat on it. And Aaron was like, "This is too lifelike. Like you should have cut them in half or something." She's like, "I feel like a Neanderthal, munching on this pig that I just killed and cooked over a fire." And I thought that was the best part, but for her, I think that was a little unappealing. So
my stack of John Muir books behind me would yell at me if I didn't say that. We didn't just throw everything into a landfill. Like they feed it to the gators.
Yeah.
So even if we don't take the ribs off of it, they're still utilizing the whole animal. Nothing goes to waste still. So
yeah.
No, we did our due diligence for sure. We brought home a ton, but yeah, talk to me about the, once we smoked all these pigs, I wasn't going to shoot one. And then Keenan pressured me into shooting one, and a nice one ran out.
I wasn't going to shoot one shot to a perfect shot.
Yeah, I wasn't going to shoot one unless it was a boar because I'd never shot a boar before. And of course, big, beautiful bastard ran out. And I was like, all right. So we got him loaded up. And, at one point I did forget to tighten the strap on the pigs on the back of the buggy tight enough. I didn't realize how tight you had to get it. And we had dumped 3 or 4 pigs at some point bouncing around. And one of them was John's gigantic one. And talk about finding a needle in the haystack, man. We probably looked, I don't know, half hour looking for all those pigs. And it was Drew or Grady. I forget who that spotted them, but thank God they did. But I was like, oh my gosh.
We picked up one. Was it one, John? Side by side or 2? Yeah.
Yeah, we picked up. We picked up 2 of them. One of them was Cole's second pig, I think.
Second, yeah, because we shot it and we were going after another, and we were like, just leave it behind for now. We know where it's at.
Well, we had a little moment of panic because we were still looking for Keenan's son's pig, and Brody and I kept telling the driver, like, we didn't shoot this one. Ours looked different and stuff like that. And he's like, well, then who shot it? At some point, I was like, this is not worth it. If it's nobody's, I'll take it. I don't care. Like, pork is pork. I'll take that one. Turned out to be Cole's. But while they were looking for all those pigs that bounced off, that's when I saw my second one. Because we were still looking for Brody's pig. I was like, oh, there it is over there. And so we drive closer to it and it stands up. And I was like, that's not it.
And we never found that poor pig.
No, it happens, man.
Yeah.
He's feeding a gator. All right. Yep. Circle of life. Yeah. So we get all 15 or 17 of our pigs loaded up and we head back. And that's when I was like, oh, fuck. Like we had a good time. We had too good of a time. Yeah. What did you guys think about the whole butchering process? Big kudos to everybody. Everybody found a job and a role and jumped in with both hands, and like it's not easy, right? It's a hard job.
Well, the guys there that were working were great too, like with helping out. Like even they would sometimes just take a pig and do it, even though we told them we wanted to do it ourselves. And they would also, like, if I was struggling with something, I'd be like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And they would come over and show me what to do or give me a pointer. It was awesome. I think the thing that screwed me up the most was only having really butchered deer. There's no fat on a deer, or if you do, like, oh, it's a big fat deer, it's not that fat, like, whereas the pig, you skin it and then it's like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at, like, if you buy a block of manteca at Kroger, it's like, where's the line, where's the bone, where do I cut? That was the hardest part for me, for sure.
Yeah. And also, like, the knife that I brought, I usually just carry an outdoor edge, which is great for whitetail, especially Georgia whitetail, because the hide's not super thick, they're not super fatty. And I barely got through maybe a tenth of a pig, and my knife was dull. That blade was so dull, and I'm replacing blades, and I was like, this is the most inconvenient way to be tackling this hog. And I think that's when I stole somebody else's knife. I was like, I just need this, give it to me. But though the hide and the fat, yeah, that was tricky, because I'm cutting through and I'm like, am I cutting in the right place? Like I'm not following, because usually, we follow the muscle groups, on the shoulders and the back hams. And I was like, I can't see it. I don't see it. So it's like, you just kind of have to start cutting with a little, just not knowing if it's in the right spot until you get down there. but after a while, we started to get used to it. We were getting a rhythm. Although the folks, still can't remember his name. Who's the other gentleman that was there helping Matt? Do we remember his name?
Justin.
Justin.
Yeah.
Justin would be, dude, he was talking shit the whole time. He's like, I'm on pig number 4, and me and John were still working like one pig.
Yeah. We never told him the correct number. We're like, Justin, dude, we're on pig 15.
Yes.
Up, bro.
He grabbed ours because, he just grabbed mine and started doing them. I'm like, well, he's going to get done a lot faster than I am. Plus, my knife was unbelievably dull. So I was like, I just let him. So, like I said, everybody found their role. My role was dragging the carcasses and throwing them on the trailer, which was kind of fun. So,
yeah, you had the dirty job.
I think that if we ever go back again, we cannot bring enough sharp knives with us.
Yes.
It was shocking how quickly. I had 3 very sharp knives when I went down, and I have 3 extremely dull knives sitting in the shop right now.
Yep.
I found a lot of success with a 2-knife system. So I had a knife with a gut hook on it that I used to make any of the cuts on the hide, just like to, zip it down the chest, because we did gutless method. So we didn't have to open up the cavity or anything like that. So to zip down the chest, to zip around the ankles or the neck, I just used the gut hook on one of my other knives. And then the knife that I normally use for butchering, I saved until I got into trimming up fat or cutting muscle groups or things like that. And then Cole and I were making liberal use of little work sharp field sharpener. Every couple of cuts we made, we went over there and just scraped it on the ceramic rod, and that seemed to really, really, really be helpful. So yeah, definitely if you're going to go down there and do this kind of hunt or do anything with pigs, yeah, having either tons of knives or a sharpener with you is absolutely critical.
Yeah. And then Dave, this was your first time, or was it the boys' first time, skinning and processing a pig or any large animal, right?
That was the first with the pigs, and then I guess Grady and my kind of second watching John when John got his deer. Right before Christmas, right?
Yeah, 23rd.
23rd, yeah. So that was mine and Grady's first time watching someone actually, butcher a deer. So, that first one, we hung that first pig up, and we had no idea what to do. But Matt was great. Matt just kind of start here, do this, do that, and by we ended up bringing 4 home. So by the third one, we had it kind of figured out. But yeah, both boys I didn't know how they were going to react to having to do it, and they just jumped right in and did it. So Grady obviously helped John and Carter with the deer before Christmas, but at one point I looked over to Drew and I'm like, "You okay?" He's like, "Oh yeah, this is great." I didn't know. It could have gone both ways. It could have been
Definitely.
like, "No, I'm wheezy. This is not for me."
Yeah.
Or let's just get to this, and he got to it. So it was great.
I liked watching your boys do it. 1, they just jumped in and started getting after it. But 2, they weren't afraid to ask for help. And then 3, at one point, I can't remember which boy did it, but he nicked the stomach. And I remember walking over there, and he's like, "What's this green stuff?" And it instantly hit my nose, and I was like, "It's nothing. You're okay right now. Go clean your knife. We'll get around this." And the whole time I'm like, "I'm gonna throw up in front of everybody." Because that's not.
Did you get around it, Cole?
Did I get around it?
Yeah.
I helped them get around it.
Yes. We figured it out.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
Figured it out. It's just going a little too deep. It's like, okay, hey, just you're fine. Just pull the knife back a little bit, and just showing them don't need to go this far. Don't touch the green stuff. That's nasty, and it's gonna smell.
And I think it was part, after a couple, we had 4 to get through. And it's like, at some point we want to go home today. So it's like, let's get moving.
Let's hustle.
I think we got a little aggressive and a little, we stopped paying attention too much, and that's what happens.
But also, I think, and we've talked about this probably to no end, but pigs are the perfect way to learn how to do this process. I think personally, because one is just you can go hunt pigs whenever, and it's just a easy thing to do and whatnot. But practicing, whether it's gutting or skinning or you're quartering. Pigs are a great way to do it because, you guys had 4 of them. So it's like you mess up on one, okay, take what you learned, put it to, the next pig and get a little better. Whereas sometimes for deer season, you get one deer, you get one shot to practice that. And that only happens, for a short time during that year. So I think pigs are a great way for anybody who wants to learn or touch up their skills on skinning, gutting, quartering, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, there's definitely less pressure to it. Just, I mean, think about it. If we screwed something up with 2 or 3 of those, we easily could have gone right back out in the field and got another 2 or 3 hogs.
I mean, how
Well, pay for it.
Yeah.
we saw it was well over 100 pigs. I mean, there's so many pigs there. We saw a pig that was sickly, right? Like they're so overpopulated they can't even support their own population. Like we had to put down a pig that we didn't end up taking or count towards our price tag at the end or anything like that. It was just laying there dying sickly because there's just not enough resources for all of them.
Well, how many 2 to 3 week old piglets did we see out there as well? I mean, I think there was like
30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't shoot enough of them. And for listeners who aren't familiar, like this is a working cattle ranch and potato farm. And so, it's helping out the farmer big time, but there's the only efficient way to get rid of them is to shoot the young ones, shoot the females and trap them. You can't hunt them enough to manage.
And Justin had told me the day before they killed 11 on the potato plantation because they were tearing up the crops.
Yeah.
And just a side note, I asked him what they did with the pigs, and he said they gave them to the workers because they have a bunch of Mexican workers on there, and they took them and made them up. So he's like, it's a win-win because we get them off and they get to eat them, and so you figure in 2 days we killed up 26 pigs. So that's and that was nothing.
And there was still a ton more.
Yeah.
In every one of the females that we killed was pregnant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's they just reproduced that fast.
Yeah. I didn't like that part, but yes, they were pregnant.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I mean, it's weird, but at the same time, every one of them was. It's just, that's the problem is how quickly they reproduce.
Yep.
So you can't catch up to them.
And they just taste so good. It's okay to shoot.
Yeah.
It's unreal how good they are.
Yeah. Let's talk about, we're rolling over an hour here, but let's talk about the, our processing and what you guys have cooked with, the meat that we made. So we got them all processed and loaded up and we busted out of there, turn and burn, man. We came down we shot everything we wanted to shoot in a couple hours, probably took 3 hours, 4 hours to butcher everything up and then grab some pub subs and got the hell out of there. And, man, I felt so dirty when we walked into that Publix. I just felt
covered in blood.
I need
There was people looking at us.
Yeah. I need to be kicked out. This is gross. Then we drove the 8 hours back and everybody met up at my house the next morning. Once I realized how many coolers were full of pigs, I was like, oh my gosh. And like, I've added more things to my processing equipment as I've gotten more into this. And like, I was like, I think it'd be a good idea if we all do this together, right? Like I have the grinders and, John has his cooking expertise and Keenan, you're not unfamiliar in a kitchen. And we had a crew out in the driveway with me. We were working on Euro mounts for everybody. So we were skinning heads and we had everybody's turkey boilers going. And it was freaking 18 degrees outside or something insane. And we were pressure washing heads and you guys inside, you guys were slinging spices and chunking meat and creating all sorts of mixtures in there.
Well, it was kind of cool because my brother and nephew were in town, so they came and helped. And my nephew and we just started cutting because Cole's like, if you guys can do this. So him and I we butchered the rest of Cole's hogs and mine. We had 5 hogs and helped Dave. And Dave started cutting. And I mean, and it was nice because we had so many people. Everybody had a roll. We kept sending John's poor wife to the store to get more spices, and we might have drank way too many beers, but it was a lot of fun. And to me, it was cool because I had never, I've worked at a restaurant, and my older brother was there. He was an Italian chef, so like for us, we've done all the cooking stuff, but to actually process it was fun. Like that was neat to me. I was like, okay, and doing the sausage, I'm like, this is easy. I can do this. So like now, it's like if I had to take it home and do it myself, I can do it. But it was cool having like you guys show us the way and how to do it and sample. And John made some great lunch. So
It's so similar to like the campfire the night before the hunt experience to me. It's like a perfect capstone to the end of that trip because like we all got to do it together. Everybody's hanging out around the island, drinking beers and working on food. And it is pretty neat, man. Like it's pretty to look at, which is very surprising based on how dirty and jacked up some of these pigs were.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it was, to me, it was a great, that day was a great learning experience.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, yeah, now I can do it myself. I don't have to, obviously got to go get the vacuum sealer and all that kind of stuff, but watching the whole entire process was great. Now I feel very comfortable being able to do it the next time around. But I think the production line that we had, I mean,
Yeah.
I think everyone just had a job and it was just station to station. 4 boys were out in the freezing cold pressure washing.
Yeah.
But it was that was a very fun day. And what time did you guys finish? Because I know we got kind of Keenan and I, we got our stuff done and got out of there.
We got cut off by my daughter's going to bed at 7:30 or 8. Like I was like, we have to stop.
we started at 7:30 or 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, I felt like I got beat up at the end of that day. Like I'd been in a physical fight. Yeah, it was a full 12 hours of running around. I think I got 20,000 steps.
Yeah.
Just walking around a kitchen island, 20,000 steps of walking around a kitchen island, basically.
Dude, run a half marathon in the house.
Yeah.
That's why we gave you 2 more days off afterwards.
I'm not sure how many pounds I took home. I know that the next day, or maybe it was 2 days later, I had to finish up because we weren't able to finish. But like I found some good little shortcut hacks to making that sausage. And I think I knocked out 20 more pounds of sausage in an hour back at my house. Like
I was trying to figure out how many pounds we've actually processed.
I think we tried to calculate it, and it was somewhere north of 600 pounds of meat was processed that day.
Yeah.
It was intense. I mean, Henry Ford would be proud of us. We were getting after it.
Well, I actually weighed Brody's butts, and they were 10 pounds each. And that was the biggest pig. And I was like, and then I had a good sized one, and mine were 6 pounds each. Yeah. And that was just 2 pigs. So right there, it's, 32 pounds, just a butt. I mean,
yeah. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, walk us through what you whipped up, John.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but the highlights for us have been the sausage 100%.
Yeah.
And I've made a couple of the tenderloins. We've made a little bit of the butt. Sarah's dad smoked one of the butts. I took my butts and cut them up into like 3-ish pound little butt sections. Just because, like, if I'm cooking for my wife and I, like, we don't need 9 pounds of pulled pork, that's a lot. So it's like perfect for, you could meal prep with it for a week or eat it over a weekend or have some friends over or whatever. So her dad smoked one. He said it was the best pork he's ever eaten.
Nice.
The sausages, we did 3 different kinds. 2, like, for me as a cook, I don't know, Keenan, if you're maybe like this as well, like I adapt a lot of recipes, but I have a couple of chefs where I won't change a thing.
Right.
Hank Shaw is one of those chefs for me. And so we did, I think 2 of the 3 sausage recipes were Hank Shaw recipes. And so we did a chorizo and an Italian sausage from Hank Shaw. And they have both been absolutely spectacular.
So good.
Awesome. And the breakfast sausage, I think, is maybe a Ranella recipe. And I know he has Hank Shaw collaborate with him on some of them. So he might have done all 3. But the breakfast sausage was really, really good, too. I didn't get more than I think a pound of that personally, just because we don't eat a ton of breakfast sausage here, but I know it's been spectacular as well. Yesterday, my buddy and I made some chili Colorado and just, like slow roasted, smoked chilies and put those on some tacos with some little pickled veggies from the garden. They were insane. We made some ramen earlier with one of the tenderloins, like yesterday, took it and threw it on the smoker with a little soy sauce, honey, spicy glaze, and threw that in there at the end. It was unreal. So, I mean, every single piece I've had has been spectacular.
Yeah, I used, of course, the Italian sausage and a couple, pasta dishes, and it was really good. The best thing I think I did is I took one of the 5-pound butts and I made carne asada with it. And it was Brody who went with us, and I do a lot of pork, but he had some of it, and he was like, "Oh my God, Dad, this is the best, pork I've ever had." And it was phenomenal because, you basically braise it for 3 hours, and then you shred it, pour a little sauce on it, and you hit it under the broiler for like 15 minutes. And it was so good. It was like, I'm a big fan because Carter's been giving me wild hog, for 2 years now, and I've been cooking it. And and I don't know, it's just because we shot it, but it tasted even better. And I'm like, okay, that was one of mine. So to me, it tasted even better, but it was really good. And it was phenomenal. It's clean meat. It's a way to go. I mean, this hunt has helped me, Carter's kind of helped me by giving me some meat and getting the fresh stuff. But now it's like, okay, I want to get more of the fresh, clean meat. That's kind of my new process now. So
you guys have been eating a lot of it too, Dave.
Yeah, it's been all the sausage so far. I haven't got any of the tenderloins or anything out yet. They're all in the freezer still, but it's been just a lot of chili and nachos. Nice. Carrie's got her little nacho recipe, just chips, cheese, sprinkle a bunch of that on it, and throw it under the broiler for a few minutes and go at it. So
that sounds
it's good tasting.
Well, the pictures look good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we share. Everybody at home, we share pictures when we make stuff with the group, so that's been kind of fun too.
Yeah, but I need to try the in a couple weeks here. Get one of the butts out and do a little smoke on the butts. I love getting out in the backyard. I've got the Kamado Joe out there, and I love doing that kind of stuff. So I just need a free weekend to do it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's been awesome, man. So I hope you guys. I like when you guys share what you guys make, and hope we keep doing that. But I'm ready to go back whenever you guys are. So just,
I've made a promise to Brody, so we're in.
Just holler, and we're in. And big thanks to Matt and his crew down there and Triple.
Yeah, Matt was fantastic. It was he was a great host, very patient with me and the boys. So I really appreciate him.
Yeah.
I appreciate Carter for setting everything up, and like I said, Carter and Cole and John with working with Brody, and it was awesome. I appreciate you guys letting us go and be part of it.
Happy to do it, man. I'm glad you trusted me to not just take you to Florida to have you murdered or whatever. And we actually got to go hunting. So it was good, man.
Hey, Cole, we got another. We won't mention it here, but we got another stop next time we go down. We got to stop off that one gas station there on I-75.
Oh man!
Take through there.
Tell the boys if they shot like 20 pigs, I would take them or something. Bam. Yeah. So next time, tell them.
Uncle Cole's gonna hook them up.
Yeah. I don't know. Just don't tell the wives, man.
What's wrong with Bucky's? I don't understand.
Yeah.
All right, anybody? That's right. Anybody got any closing thoughts before we wrap this one up? John, you got anything?
Yeah, man. Like, I think just get out there. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. Like, I know for fishing, for hunting, for hiking, for camping, sometimes just getting out there, because it is kind of scary sometimes, right? You're going out, you're experiencing something you haven't experienced before. Like we took out a bunch of people that I'd never shot a pig, so I was one of those people. I'd never stayed at some dude's trailer in South Florida before, so that was a new experience, right? But just, get out of your comfort zone and get out there. And every single one of us had an absolute amazing weekend. So just get out there, just do it.
Yeah, you guys got anything?
Well, John, kind of on that too. It especially for a new hunter, I think going on a hog hunt like this is great. To me, it just felt like there was no pressure. You're almost guaranteed to see multiple hogs out there. You can go ask Grady, how was his first deer hunting experience? He probably said it's great, but it was a damn long, cold day. With no action. With no action compared to this one. So if you're looking for that first hunt, I would say try a hog hunt. It's great.
Yep. And like I said, my first hunt was one of those cold deer hunts when I didn't see a thing, and with a muzzle loader, and I had to ask my uncle just to shoot the muzzle loader. So I'm like, at least can I shoot the thing after sitting in this tree for 6 hours? Yeah. But for my second hunt to go out and to do that was phenomenal. Like, and the other thing is, I would add, I'm sure Dave will agree, but to do this with your kid, it's so much fun, and especially for their first hunt, like, where they're actually going to shoot something. It was awesome. And it's a memory that the two of us will cherish. And like I said, he's ready to go back. He wants to go before he graduates. So I'm ready for another trip.
Heck yeah. Paul Reed, podcast manager.
Yeah. We have a YouTube channel, in case anybody's wondering. So please check us out on YouTube. But on top of that, it's just kind of my story towards the end here. But I've probably given away more of this pork than I've actually eaten it. And John, to you, your credit, and everybody else who helped in this process, everybody has said, whether it's the Italian sausage or the chorizo, what have you, they have all enjoyed it and have come back to me and said, I will buy it off of you.
Yeah.
And so far, I have not sold anything, but rather I've been giving it to a number of people. I say a number of people, like 5 or 6 different families who they were like, hey, so you went pig hunting, how was that? And I just told them, I was like, it's great. Do you want to try some of it? Start with a couple samples of each. And then they would come back and be like, wow, like what a difference. Cause you can buy this in store and it's good, but having homemade like that, like what we did, is a next level. So to everybody's credit, we're getting good feedback is what I'm trying to say here. And I really like sharing with other people, especially people who don't get the opportunity or just haven't tried it, or there may be a misconception. They're dirty as all can be. How can you make something like that taste good? And I think we crushed it. So kudos to everybody. It was a great trip, and I'm stoked for the next one.
I'm hearing you shot too many pigs and now you can't give enough away.
All right.
My biggest regret is not doing more sausage, to be honest with you, because I didn't know. I we don't have a ton, and I have a lot of meat, but I'm like, I wish I'd have done more sausage.
You always grind it up. That's the nice thing about sausage.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
More. Yeah. But I gave 2 of my hogs were given to other people, so I'm a little short.
There is an old German saying which goes something along the lines of, everything has an end except for sausage. It has 2.
Yeah. Words of wisdom.
You're ready to be a dad.
That's not me. That's the Germans, man. Henry Ford would be even more proud of us now.
Like I did like a certain group of Germans. All right, this is
Carter, you have any closing thoughts?
No, man, I had a blast. Everything I love about hunting, I got to experience. The selfish part of me had all my boxes were checked on this hunt. Got to hang out with the boys, get to introduce people to hunting, and get some great food, some great memories. So I guess the call to action, go check out Triple M Outfitters online on Instagram, and shoot Matt a message if you want to go participate. It's well worth it. No hidden fees, no trophy fees, no nothing like that. It's very straightforward, which I appreciate, and what you see is what you get. So I'm ready for the next one, boys. Ready for another episode after our next successful hunt, and maybe we'll get Theo out there, another fellow English department teacher at our school, for this next one. Although there may be holes in the roof of buggies if he goes, who knows? But I appreciate you guys. I had a blast, man, and listeners, appreciate the hell out of you guys, and we'll talk to you next week.